Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. Talking is like ketchup. 5 comments. Share save hide report 99% upvoted. End of story. Next story. Hi. My name is Karen. And I'm so sorry. I stood in the long line at Target and seethed in self-righteous anger as I watched the maskless going about their day as if we weren't in the midst of a global "oh my god, we're all going to die" pandemic. As my glasses fogged up from my own cheap mask, I thought, I'm going to say something. And then it hit me. I'm a Karen. How could this have happened? I hate Karen. I've seen the memes and jokes. As a middle-aged, middle-class blonde woman, they always hit a little too close to home. Truthfully, I love that stacked bob haircut, but thanks to the original Karen I would never dream of getting one. Yet here I was, silently growing angrier by the minute at something that had very little to do with me. But why? Many white women grow up with a certain kind of privilege. We see ourselves in advertisements, on television and in magazines. There is an assumed confidence in our self-worth. From sexy models to sitcom moms, we are represented and valued. We notice a shift, though. As we get older, wrinkles appear and boobs sag. Our husbands become a little more distant and our children, now teenagers, become a lot less respectful. We've had a lifetime of things going our way. Why aren't things going our way? We begin to see tiny injustices everywhere we go. Then one random Tuesday, an incorrect restaurant order becomes a personal affront. The server's honest mistake feels like a giant middle finger as all sense of proportion and reason fly out the window. We have been wronged by the universe, and there is only one person who can fix this. Only one person with the power to make things right, the manager. A Karen is born. She's hooked. She is relevant again. But more importantly, she is in control. Like a deluded superhero in Lululemon tights. Her mission is to take back what was rightfully hers. Why would she notice the annoyed eye rolls she leaves in her wake? Finally, people are listening again. Finally, she has a voice. As for me, I'm going to learn to take deep, calming breaths through my mask at Target. And change my name to Kate. End of story. Next story. We found thousands of dollars worth of silver in my grandpa's garage. My dad found a loaf of bread. He was showing me today. What it really is a small 2.5 ounces nugget of 99% silver in a shape that looked like a loaf of bread. My grandfather, his father, was an X-ray technician in the 40s and 50s. He was also a tinkerer, which really means was that he was an inventor with no money. He was always out in his garage-made workshop, making things. Even when I was a kid. He died when I was around 12. At the hospital he worked at, the solution they used to develop the X-rays had silver in it. When it became unusable, they would dump it down the drain. My grandpa used giant pickle barrels he got from his brother, who would make and sell pickles by the ton, and fill them up with that solution. He used some process of putting a disc in the barrel with the solution and using electricity and vibrations. The silver would start to accumulate on the disc. The process would take weeks. He'd take the discs out and take a hammer and break off what my dad said looked like black chunks of gunk. He had someone a town over that he sold it to. The guy would look in the newspaper at how much silver was that day and buy pounds of it. He saved up enough money to buy a brand new Camaro with electric windows and blue velour seats. My dad said it was the coolest car. It had a radio you could use to call people. And on road trips where they took multiple cars, they'd have code names. Their Camaro was silver and bought fully in cash with the silver my grandpa sold. He came up with their code name of Gentum X. Gentum, short for argentum, which is Latin for silver, and X short for X-ray. The buyer eventually died, so my grandpa ended up storing tons and tons of silver. He upgraded his process at one point because the silver would be too heavy and break the wooden barrels. So he found big metal canisters used for moving oil. He stopped altogether when the hospital figured it out and started using the same process and selling the silver to companies themselves. He said it felt like stealing at that point. He only did it when they were throwing it out. End of story. Next story. Today, while I was getting my Moderna booster, I overheard one of the employees in the pharmacy taking a phone call. He politely but firmly told whoever was on the line that no, their store does not issue fake vaccine cards, but he would be happy to schedule an actual vaccine appointment. The caller did not schedule an appointment, and the employee wished him a good day. The tone of the employee made it sound like this wasn't the first time someone called to ask, and he didn't expect it to be the last. End of story. Next story. Let's write a story one sentence at a time. Once there was a human named Riley. End of story. Next story. Bully, I do not consent to my story being posted on any other forum but Reddit. My mom has been keeping herself busy at home with little projects she set for herself. She's been trying to scrapbook more, and she's been texting me shots of her photos from when my sister and I was small. One of the pictures she sent was of me in kindergarten. I was wearing my school jumper. I had a busted lip and a bruised chin. We were remembering how I got hurt. I come from a very loving, tight-knit, take no shit family. From a very young age I was told to never let anyone lay hands on me, and if they did I better defend myself. I spent a majority of my young life as a shadow to my Leto maternal grandpa. As soon as I was out of diapers he took me everywhere with him. Poor guy didn't realize it at the time, but he raised me like a boy, which got him in trouble with my nana and my mom. He didn't know any better. My Leto taught me a lot. One of the many things he taught me was how to handle myself in a fight. He was raised by a single mother and grew up in the streets with his siblings. He'd had enough life experience, I guess. I was a precocious child. A quick learner. Very reserved. Carefully curious but overall happy. My mom convinced my dad to enroll me in Catholic school when I was very young. They wanted me to get a decent education as well as a religious one. We wore uniforms and had a very strict code that we had to follow. One of those codes was violence is never the answer and to turn the other cheek. Throughout kindergarten and the beginning of first grade, one was picked on by a little boy we'll call Ray. Ray was by all accounts a little shit. He was loud, defiant, disruptive and mean. I wasn't the only kid he bullied in my class, but it felt like he singled me out a lot. He pulled my hair, broke my supplies, put glue in my backpack, took my stuff, pinched me, scratched me, pushed me and teased me whenever he could. After my mom started to notice the change in my demeanor and that a lot of my school supplies were either broken or missing, she asked me what was going on. I told her all about Ray. My mom told me the next time he does something I better fight back. She told me he'd stop after that. I remember it was May because it was the month of the Virgin Mary. I stood up to put a supply tray in the storage area. Ray tripped me and I fell hard, busting my lip and bruising my chin. The pencils and crayons went flying all over the floor. I don't even remember getting up.
I just remember shoving Ray to the floor and Sister E yelling my name out loud.
It was the first time I got sent to the office and I was scared that I was going to get in trouble. At home, my mom showed up and asked me what happened. I remember crying a little bit and telling her that I stood up for myself and now I'm in trouble. My mom went to speak to the principal and when she came out she looked mad. I thought she was mad at me so I stayed quiet. On the quiet drive home my mom broke the silence by saying the next time that boy touches you, I want you to hurt him. Okay? I said I didn't want to get in trouble again and she assured me I wouldn't. The rest of the school year we were pretty much kept away from each other. First grade came along and that meant a new classroom and a new teacher. Sister Connie was an older lady who kinda looked like Ms. Trunchbull from Matilda. She was a very serious but very kind lady. At the end of the day we were sent to the closet area to get our backpacks. 2 by 2. Ray and I were always close together because our last names were close on the roll sheet. I went in the closet area and took my bag off the hook. I heard a noise and turned to see Ray. He swung his backpack at me and hit me with it, causing me to fall. I fell near the supply trunk and hit my arm. Sister Connie came in and asked us what's going on. We both pointed at each other and she told us to knock it off. I got a huge bruise from that fall. At that time, my Lito was the one who picked me up from school. That day after school I told him about Ray and how I got in trouble last time. He told me to show him which kid he was. I said he was gone already. Lito said to point him out tomorrow. Next day I pointed him out and my Lito said I could take that kid. Almost every day after school my Lito would show me how to punch. How to avoid getting pinned and if all else failed to kick him in the groin. He said don't punch anyone with glasses and don't punch them in the mouth. Because teeth cut hands. The last one he showed me was how to straddle the chest with my legs out, pinning the arms down, and to start punching. I practiced at home and my mom asked me what I was doing. I told her I was going to get back at Ray. She told me that I'm only allowed to get him back if he starts something. I couldn't just go out of my way and hit him. I told her I understood. One day after lunch I was talking to my best friend and putting my lunchbox away when someone slapped me upside the back of my head really hard. I turned to look and it was Ray. I think I panicked because I socked him in the chest. He looked surprised at first but then lunged at me. We scuffled and all my training just faded away. Everything but the last part. Pin him down and punch him in the face. I managed to get on top of him and I just started wailing on him. I remember Sister Connie having to pull me off of him. I must have been crying because my face was wet and my hair was sticking to it. Ray was crying and his nose was bleeding a tiny bit. We were both taken to the office and our parents were called. We were sitting on the bench outside of the office waiting for our parents. Ray was crying and I just sat there quietly waiting for my mom until what seemed like forever. Lo and behold, there she was and she wasn't alone. My Lito came with her. He smiled at me and gave me the thumbs up. My mom walked into the principal's office and they shut the door while my Lito sat on the bench with us. A while later my mom came out of the office and told me to pick up my stuff because I was going home with Lito. I asked if I was in trouble and she said, no. My mom had to get back to work and Lito took me to get a Frosty from Wendy's. He told me he was proud of me and that Ray is going to be scared of me from now on. For the most part Ray left me alone after that. Ray left our school in 4th grade and I never saw his punk ass again. My mom told me when I got older that I almost got expelled but she told the principal she had pictures of my previous injuries and had been talking to other kids' parents about this boy. She said if they were going to expel me, she was going to seek legal counsel against the school and the boy's family. Eat shit Ray, middle finger, medium skin tone. Wherever you are. Whatever you're doing. Lol. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.